Hey guys, welcome to Hobbyfiends. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content. We do a lot of pack openings and we're going to be doing deck profiles moving forward to make sure everybody knows what we're playing over here on the channel. So today we're going to dive into it with a Rivaz of the Claw. This is a commander from Dominaria United, a red, black, and 1 Viashino Warlock. Menace, and he taps to add 2 in any combination of colors to use on dragon creatures. And then the big important part of this card, other than adding 2 mana, which is fun, is you can once per turn cast a dragon spell from your graveyard. So we're going to try to capitalize that on this deck a lot by making everyone discard their cards to the graveyard so that we can use our graveyard to put big dragons on the field and get stompy in a simplified game state. It runs really well. It's a lot of fun to pull off. This isn't super high powered commander, but you are going to have a lot of fun with it and can sit at pretty much any table outside of CEDH with this. So let's get into it. First we'll start off with the monsters or the creatures here. Starting off, Dragon Speaker Shaman, real easy. It's going to make sure that we lower the cost of the spells. Reckless Barbarian, sack it and add 2 mana. What's really cool is the commander adds 2 mana when you tap it, so you can actually bring this back so that you can use it again on a later turn. So some synergy there. Varric's Bladewing, this is really only in here to give you a board state, creating that extra 4/4 red dragon. If you kick it, you put out a lot of mana in the deck, especially since the commander's a dragon, or gives you mana for dragons, so this helps with the board state. Boneyard Scourge, and there's another one in here as well. Really just help you recover from board wipes and make sure you always have dragons on the field. Skrithix, every black dragon deck has this card in it. Infect, flying, puts pressure on the board. Keeps people scared. Ancient Brass Dragon, bring all the stuff back that you send to the graveyard when you're discarding your hands and filtering through your deck with the draw power. This is my own personal ad. I know we're built on a dragon tribal strategy here with this resource discarding, but Croxa for red and black makes everyone discard, and since we're running the Blade of Selves with some tutors, you can put that on here and the myriad copies will actually die due to the legend rule, and all of your opponents will have to discard cards. They'll also die because it wasn't escaped either. So that's a fun little trick in here. The deck does a lot of enter the battlefield and death triggers to gain resources and take them away from your opponent. This is just one of the funnest ones. Scourge, board control, dealing the damage. Shivan Devastator, you just pump a lot of mana into it and swing. Super powerful, especially, again, commander's a mana dork. So this deck really pumps this up really fast. Like turn 6, you can maybe dump 10 mana into it and swing at somebody and scare them. Ebon Death Dracolich, probably one of my favorite artworks. I love this card. Just a 5/2 flyer that you can bring back from the graveyard with flash. Really good. Swashbuckler enters battlefield, gives you a treasure, but you can also sack a treasure for double strike so that you can get extra attack damage triggers, or give your Shivan Devastator double strike to just try to close someone out of the game. Bladewing the Risen, it's a lot of mana, but again, you put a lot out early. So this brings your stuff back that you've sent to your graveyard through your filtering with the red, drawing and discarding, or just discarding from your effects. Tiamat, again, we put out a lot of mana in this deck, so putting this out on turn 3 or 4 is pretty fun. It pressures a lot of other decks so that they have blockers, otherwise you're just going to chip at their life points. A lot of fun. Demanding Dragon comes into the battlefield. Either they sack it or they start eating damage. With the myriad on here, it really does a lot of work. Now here's where we get into the dirty stuff. Junji the Midnight Sky. If you death trigger it, bring it back with your commander's ability, and death trigger it again, you can make everyone discard 4 cards and lose 4 life. It's pretty crazy. Or if you give this the sword for Myriad, the 2 copies die to the legend rule, and that immediately makes everyone discard their hand. This card's crazy. I love it. Kokushu does the same thing pretty much, but with life. When the Myriad copies come in, they die from death triggers, and you just drain the table. It's great. Bone Dragon, like the Boneyard Scourge in there, same thing, just board presence late in the game. Ganax, treasure tokens, Terror of the Peaks, board control for everything coming in. Deathbringer works as a board wipe if you need it to. This card's actually on the chopping block to come out for something else, but it came in clutch once, so it's kind of saving a spot. Glorybringer, removal, love that card, the artwork's great. Drakuseth is just a house on the table and is an immediate threat. This card's just nuts, love it. Defiler of Instinct, although probably one of the worst Defilers, I really like this one with the amount of red pips that we deal with in this deck. And if you throw 2 dragons out using this, you're going to hit people for 2 damage, so you can get rid of a creature just with this. It really is really good. Bladewing Deathless Tyrant. One of the reasons I want to build this deck, big zombie dragon, a lot of fun. A lot of cards in your graveyard, so when he swings, you make zombies. Dragon tokens are always fun to have, especially when they're 5/5 flyers. Red Dragon and Black Dragon, pretty flavorful for the deck. Like their artworks, part of the reason they're in here, but they also serve the purpose of entering the battlefield if I'm ever able to repeatedly have them enter the battlefield, whether copying them or giving them the sword for Myriad. You start dealing a lot of damage with Red Dragon as they come in, and Black Dragon, you just basically works as removal, -3/-3s. They're synergistic, flavorful. I like both of them, haven't had any problems with them being in the deck. Atsushi is probably one of my favorites. For 4 mana, you give this the sword for Myriad, you just start piling up treasure tokens and, impulse drawing. It's great. Always works. So 1 flavor in the deck for Planeswalker. This is going to be Liliana of the Veil. Plays into your strategy of making opponents discard cards, as well as yourself, but that you're not worried about yourself discarding if your commander's out. So each opponent discards a card for +1, or you can make the person playing Voltron at the table sack their creature, which is always exciting. Great card for 3 mana. All right, so let's get into the sorceries. I'm sure this is everyone's favorite section, but this helps run the deck and get you going with the discard. Sign in Blood for discard for draw power. Corpse Explosion is a fun board wipe for 3 mana. One of your dead dragons, because we're filtering things to the graveyard a lot. Just free money there. Siphon Mind. Each other player discards and you draw. Just a way to burn away your opponent's resources. Dart Deals, the same thing. Each player discards all the cards in their hand, then draws that many -1. It's really good. This hurts you sometimes, but again, it doesn't matter that much. It hurts them more usually. Terminal Agony. This one's really fun. 4 mana to destroy target creature is not mana efficient, but we discard in this deck so much that 2 mana for the madness cost, even at instant speed on the opponent's turn, when you Thrill of Possibility or something, it really comes in good. Terminal Agony is a lot of fun. Gamble for tutoring for cards. Something random from your card gets hit, doesn't matter. You want stuff in the graveyard anyway. Diabolic Intent. Obviously sacking a creature and then searching for your blade, your Myriad blade, or a couple other things as well. And you're getting death triggers. This one's the best one in the deck. Profane Tutor. Says what you need, searches. And then Faithless Looting, draw 2 and discard 2, so you can start putting your monsters and creatures in the grave. So that's going to be your sorcery lineup. Moving into the instants. This is the fun part of the deck. I run some removal in here, as well as some synergistic hits. Saw in Half is great. So if you give one of your legendary black creatures that does all the crazy death triggers Myriad, when they enter the battlefield and the legend rule goes on the stack for them to die, you can respond with a Saw in Half and get that death trigger plus the 2 more that come in from Saw in Half's death trigger. So you can get 5 death triggers on that Kukushino for the 5 life each. That's 25 life from the table, and you gain 75. It's nutty. It's just crazy. This card's broken. Entomb, sending what you need to the graveyard, sending Croxa to the grave is free money. A few other dragons as well. Malakir Rebirth, 1 mana to regenerate a Drakuseth, just feels good. Colligan's Command, kind of flavorful, but you do get to remove artifacts as well as bring something back from your grave to your hand if you need to play it again and you don't want to lose it. Or just dealing 2 damage to a mana dork. Pretty versatile. I've run into hands where this doesn't help a lot and it just sits there for a long time. And I've run into other games where it just overperforms. So it's in there for now. Soul Shatter's crazy. 3 mana, every opponent sacks a creature. Lightning Bolt, 1 mana, 3 damage, removal. Lethal Scheme. Now, it's not the most efficient card in the world, but it does play into our strategy. You're usually going to have a big dragon untapped or something on an opponent's turn. You don't usually get rid of all your resources on attacking because you become a threat. You can tap them and draw and discard, so it's feeding into that strategy of getting things into the yard, and you're hitting removal and filtering your cards. It's just, this has been an overperformer in this deck, and I'm really happy I put it in. Faithless Salvaging, not mana efficient at all, but does the job. Discard, then draw, so you're filtering and putting stuff into the yard. Electric Revelation, again, this is all at instant speed, so you can do that Terminal Agony trick on an opponent's turn as well. Just drawing cards, discarding things. Thrill of Possibilities, same thing. Discard a card, draw, big score, discard, draw, create treasure tokens. Delayed Blast Fireball has a foretell, deals all the damage, free board wipe. If you play in a pod that they've seen this a couple times, they'll know to expect it, usually because you'll foretell it as early as you can so that it doesn't ruin your plays. It really keeps everybody in check, knowing that if you have mana up, that you can just ruin everyone's day with a Delayed Blast Fireball. This card's an overperformer. Pain Magnification, 3 mana enchantment. Whenever you deal damage by a single source, that player discards a card. So again, that feeds into the theme of making our opponents get rid of their resources. Hitting opponents in the air with dragons triggers this each time, making them discard. So this card always does pretty good if you are in a good situation. So enchantments, we're running 3. Cruelty of Gix. This is a lot of mana. It's 5 mana into this, and usually it's not super efficient, but it just plays really well into this deck. Target opponent reveals their hand so you can snipe something. I have buddies that run a lot of combo stuff so you can get rid of something. Then the next turn, you're searching your library for any card. And then the final one, you're putting a target creature from your graveyard onto the field. And so since you have so much stuff in your grave already, this is just anything you want. And it's a graveyard onto the field. So you can do anybody's as well. So this card just has been an overperformer. 5 mana, it's a lot, but all 3 abilities of this are just fantastic. Elder Dragon War, 4 mana. It's not super efficient, but it deals damage to everything. None of your stuff dies. I don't think we even run anything other than maybe the Shaman that's under 2 toughness to die to this. But it gets rid of a lot of other stuff, discards and draws, and then gives you a dragon token. It's just free real estate. Draconic Destiny. So there are things that come up in the deck having to do with dragons, and your commander is actually a Viashino Warlock. So this card in hand for 3 mana turns your commander into a dragon, makes it more powerful, And it gives it flying and +1. So just a great card. Throw it on your commander. It's a big dragon now, and you get the bonuses from the other stuff. So this card's an auto add if you're going to build Rivaz of the Claw. Draconic Destiny is an auto add. Artifacts. So this is probably one of the more important parts of the deck. Blade of Selves. This card wins you games. Sticking this to any of the dragons really that have entered the battlefield or death triggers just ruins people. If you get this on Croxa, and Croxa attacks, you're in a winning situation from there. If you get it on Junji or Kukushino, you're going to win the game. If you pull this off, this card's just crazy. If people don't remove it within the turn or two you get it on the field and use it, it's game over. Arcane Signet, obviously. Mox Amber, we're running that for mana. You have to have rocks in the deck. Dragons are expensive, and the draw spells are as well. Soul Ring, obviously. Carnelian Orb of Dragonkind. It's 3 mana, but you tap it and it gets haste. I like big dragons with haste, so that's automatic. Glittering Stockpile. This card's actually been a really good performer as well. If you get it out early, by turn 7 or 8, you've got 5 counters on it if the game goes that long, and you can just sack it for all 5 mana if you want it. If you need a burst of mana to get a combo off or anything, this card does really well. And then I have a Mind Stone. Just a cheap mana rock, but you can also draw with it if your hand's getting low. Commander Sphere is the same thing. These are literally only in here because of the draw ability and being a rock. Again, sometimes your hand does get low because of the resources and you triggering it, and you do need more resources. Sometimes they get you there. All right, now let's get into the lands. Lands in this deck, I don't have the mana base super duper upgraded, but here's what I've got so far. We're going to be running Luxury Suite, Blight Step, Pathway, both sides are good for the deck. Haunted Ridge, Sulphurous Springs, Temple of the Dragon Queen, Command Tower, Smoldering Marsh. This is probably one of my favorite artworks. Crystal Grotto, Foreboding Ruins. Again, oh man, this artwork is my favorite too. Sorin is such a cool planeswalker. That's a really good one. Blood Crypt for a Shockland. If you want to power up the deck, you can definitely add fetches and duels in here, and there are some other cards you can take out for better stuff too, but this is not my super duper high powered deck, but I do like to have some good lands. Dragon Skull Summit for our non-basics. It's 11 non-basics, and then we're running 25 basic lands. I believe we're running 13 mountains and 12 swamps. I'm just running the Innistrad foils. I'm probably going to switch these out for the Phyrexia. All will be 1 lands for flavor. But that's Rivaz of the Claw. A lot of fun. Does a lot of damage at the table. Becomes a threat real easy. But the ability to recover with this, with zombie dragons, is really good. And seeing somebody's face when you attach a Myriad sword to Croxa is just fantastic. So a lot of fun. Definitely recommend people pick this up. Kind of an underrated commander. I've just had a lot of fun with it and wanted to share. So thanks, guys. Be sure to like and subscribe the video for more. And we'll see you next time.